the first the first bit for us to do is for us to say welcome and to introduce ourselves. So, Kevin, do you want to go first?
Yes, and I honestly believe this is the dodgiest photo of me there's ever been. I promise I don't go around impersonating police officers or anything like that and directing traffic in my spare time. But no, I am a non-executive director of Active LD, and we're the guys that actually run the Chichester Personal Bests and the Winchester Personal Bests as well. So we've been doing this for some years now, and I'm very honoured to say and proud of the fact that I introduced this back in 2012. So over to you, Betty.
Okay, so I'm Betty, and I'm involved in organising and co-organising the personal bests. You'll see both Kevin and I on Wednesday. We'll both be wearing t-shirts similar to the one in my photograph on the screen, and they'll have our names on the back as well. I'm yeah, Kevin's the one that's the really nice one, and I'm the really bossy one. But I am working on that. um, so here goes for our briefing, and we're really excited how the Personal Bests is growing. So the Personal Bests this year at Chichester is going to be about twice the number of participants than last year. We're looking at 100 people signed up, so that's super exciting for us. Over to you, Kevin, with a bit on the history.
Okay, yeah, lovely. Thanks, Betty. Well, I am going to try and put everything into context here in terms of why we actually run this event. And the context goes back to 2012 when we had the Paralympics in London. And I was a trustee for a learning disability charity in Winchester at the time. And the local council, Winchester City Council, and ourselves decided we'd actually hold some element of a celebration of the Paralympics that involved our members who all had learning disabilities. And we got to the point where we realised that Winchester City Council had connections with local coaches, and they also obviously had access to the leisure centre in Winchester. And we thought, well, we've got 6 local coaches and we have all sorts of sports from badminton to archery. Would you believe? I think we only run archery 1 year because of the obvious concerns that come alongside that. And we had six sports to actually go from. So we had 30 members that wanted to take part, and they took part in football, squash. There was tennis as well, archery, as I say, badminton, and circuit training. And at the end of the day, the members enjoyed it so much, it was clear this wasn't just going to become a one-off event. And on that day, I think we had something like about 6 volunteers, 30 participants, and 6 coaches. And presently, at the Winchester Personal Bests, we are at capacity at 200 participants. We have over 60 volunteers, and we have a number of coaches taking part in 6 actual sporting events again. And I think it's worth saying that one of the reasons for our success is that we call it the Winchester Personal Best, but it's about everyone just trying their best, really, and to participate in a sport at their level, not having to compete with anybody else, but participating at their level and recognizing the achievements that they make by just simply taking part. All of the guys receive a t-shirt for their participation. They all receive a medal and they all receive a certificate. That's the legacy that we've built up since 2012. And one of the proudest things I see is individuals who take part, but walking around town in their t-shirts, proud of what they've achieved and proud to actually say they were part of this event. Chichester, obviously, we introduced last year. That was our first year, but we established with that pilot that there was a demand in the area. And as Betty says, we're now up to over 100 participants registered, and we believe we can go higher. We've got the space to actually go higher. And we think, as I say, the demand's there not to just take part in this event, but to actually explore more local regular club-based type activities so that our participants can actually become part of a more regular physical activity, social activity type of setup. That's what Personal Bests are all about. That's what its foundation is. That's where we started from, and we want to carry that on from now and into the future as well. Going to take the next slide, Betty, please.
Sure. You've sort of covered
So,
this a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So, I mean, our aims, the first aim obviously is to inspire participation in inclusive sport. We want people not just to take part in this event, but to actually do it on a more regular basis. The celebration achievement and the building confidence for people to take part is huge. And as volunteers, I guarantee you are going to come across some of the participants who are a little anxious about wanting to take part or picking up a bat or you know, using a tennis racket to hit a tennis ball. All we can ask is that you give them that encouragement so that they do actually believe in their own ability to do it and they build confidence gradually. We have so many people just really reluctant at first to take part and then in the end flourishing and really doing well in the sessions they actually do take part in. So Betty, the third one. Obviously, what we're doing all of the time is promoting disability sport and healthy living. As I said, this is a one-off event, but we want this to lead into more regular activity. That's what we're about at Active LD. And of course, what happens is we get individuals that come back year after year, certainly to Winchester. I know that's going to happen in Chichester this year, where they've made connections with other people as well in last year's event. But also many of our participants go to day services, they went to school locally, and it's about bringing back some of those connections that they've formed in the past. And we see lots of old friends meeting up, and it's lovely to see them enjoying that sort of coming together again. And the last one we have there is to empower through involvement and education. Just taking part is huge. And of course, last year was our first year in Chichester, and we have coaches that come along and most of them are a little unsure of what to expect. And so we're helping them through the education of what our community actually are able to do, what they can achieve. And at the end of last year's session, we had the tennis coach say that him and his club were happy to actually offer regular sessions, and we had the same from the Chichester runners as well, who were running the athletic session. So now, at the moment in Chichester, we have those two sessions that run on a more regular basis, and we've got people with learning disabilities actually attending those sessions whenever they run. So we have actually developed into what we wanted, in the sense that this isn't just about a one-off event. It is actually about taking part and being part of a regular physical activity and social engagement that is happening on, as I say, a more regular basis.
Kevin, I can also add cricket to your list as well. There's a regular cricket offer now as well. So, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. What have we got next, Betty? Right, okay, so these are the organisations that are involved in the Chichester Personal Best this year. More Leisure, for those of you are Chichester based, you may be aware that the Westgate Leisure Centre was part of Everyone Active. Well, it's now More Leisure. So same people, same venue that's actually helping us out, and with the same types of expertise that we need for the event. We also have the University of Chichester, who are huge in terms of their support for the event, because obviously we hold it at their site. And last year we were in a position where we didn't have the AstroTurf pitches, we had the rugby pitches, we didn't have the dome, and we just had the central hall. Because of the success of last year, they were able to witness it firsthand, and we have pretty much carte blanche now as far as the physical education department is concerned. So we have the dome, for any of you that know University of Chichester, where we're hoping to do tennis. We have the AstroTurf pitch, and we have the rugby pitch as well. And together with that, we have the hall that is the sports hall. If we were to have to go inside, we've got plenty of places that are available there as well. Sussex Community Foundation are extremely important for us this year because they've been our sponsor. They're the ones who have actually come up with the cash. As you can appreciate, we're giving out T-shirts, medals, certificates, trophies, water bottles. All of that needs funding. And so we're really happy to say that through 1 year, just 1 year in Chichester running this event, we've made the links with Sussex Community Foundation, and they've been good enough to support us this year as well.
Kevin, can I just add on the University of Chichester? In addition to the fantastic facilities that we get, we also get some brilliant volunteers through from the university. So they contribute from volunteering perspective and also sort of support with our mission and our cause. So yeah, we're really appreciative of the connection we've got there.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And we have coaches from the following organisations. I spoke about Chichester Runners. Last year, they came along with, I think it was probably 4, maybe 5 coaches. And they're the guys who actually run the monthly session in the park that's behind the Westgate Leisure Centre there. This year, I think they're bringing along 5 or 6. And as you go around, or if you're based with them at their particular station, the enthusiasm from these guys it's just incredible. And you'll love it. You'll love actually taking part with those people. We've got Activate Minds who are actually running our football session this year, and we're hopeful that we might be able to get them to run a more regular session for football in the community in Chichester after the event. They too will be bringing along something like about 4 coaches. So there's going to be plenty of people there with the expertise to help you as volunteers through your responsibilities as well. Sussex Cricket Foundation, they're the guys who, as Betty said, are also running Super Ones. That's disability activity that takes place centred around cricket, that's sponsored, I think, by the Lord's Taverners. These guys were here last year, and they again will bring something in the region of about 3 of their own coaches. Chichester Falcons, which operate in the baseball and softball area, interesting because we weren't sure that would have been super successful last year. Nobody was really saying, do you know what we really want is a session on baseball or softball? But my goodness, it was popular. And the 2 guys who were actually coaching that session, Dave and Jenny, were superb. And I'm hoping, well, I know Dave's going to be there this year. I'm hoping Jenny's going to be there as well. Then, of course, we have Chichester Rackets and Fitness Club. Justin is the tennis coach who came along last year, obviously for the first time, and he was the one who specifically wanted to run a weekly session. We teamed them up with TOC, that are a local learning disability charity in Chichester, and that session takes place every week, and it is very, very popular. I went along to the TOC Awards ceremony a couple of weeks back, and it was fabulous to see so many people from the tennis club there who were supporting the guys who actually go along to that session. So much so, this sort of connection with sport can bring along other opportunities as well. And the tennis club have offered up 6 volunteer positions in their cafe for the guys at TOC to actually take part in. So absolutely thrilled for that. And the last, but by no means least, is Boccia England, who are taking part for the first time in the Chichester Personal Best, and for the first time in any Personal Bests as well. And James, who I was talking to earlier on, is going to be one of our coaches for Boccia England. And James, who we will come to in a moment as well, is an England boccia champion. So we'll come to that in just a moment, but thanks, James, for coming along today, and thanks for taking part as a coach. Okay, Betty? And these are our sporting VIPs. We have Elfie Pyle, who these guys will actually be presenting awards at the end of the actual session, but they'll also be taking part in their relative sport as well. So Alfie Pyle, he has a learning disability and a speech impediment, and he plays cricket for England. Oh, excuse me. England disability team, and he's had a really interesting journey that I'm sure he'll talk about when we meet him on Wednesday. But incredible what he's achieved, and he's going on to even greater sporting achievements. Ben Tyler is a Special Olympian medalist. He's won, I believe it's two silver medals, Betty, I think, at the Special Olympics.
Yeah.
A silver and a bronze at the Special Olympics as part of Team GB. Ben's an excellent advert for people with learning disabilities taking part in sport. And it will be wonderful when you actually meet him. And again, Ben will be assisting Justin, I guess, in the tennis session and showing off his expertise. And then we have James, who's on the call as well. And thank you, James, for wanting to take part in our event, and also for volunteering as well to be part of the coaching team there. James, I believe, has retired now from international boccia and is concentrating on just being a coach. But he represented England for in the Netherlands, in Poland, in Slovakia, in Czechia, and he's actually had huge success. Lots of PR as well locally. James is from Denmead. Do you still live in Denmead, James?
Yes, still in Denmead.
Brilliant. So a local lad who's really done exceptionally well in his sport of choice. And my goodness, I'm looking forward to some of the demonstrations, James, that you're able to show us in terms of your expertise. So thank you for that. We have a couple of other Special Olympians from Aldenbourne Trust that will be taking part as well. And we've got some special guests who have a real expertise in the special educational needs department. So I think that's me finished, Betty. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's my turn now. My bit is to talk a little bit more about the day and what we hope our volunteers will help us on the day. So we have two main volunteer roles, and then we have a sort of other role as well. So the main roles are either helping the coaches to man or woman or person an activity for the day. So you might be on football or cricket or boccia, for example, and you will be an assistant to the coaches. You'll be helping participants take part, and you'll be trying to make the activity as inclusive and as fun for everyone. Fun might look different for different participants, so be conscious that two different individuals' idea of fun might look a little bit different, as does success or achievement at a sport. So the activity volunteers will get to meet all the participants, because each participant goes round with their team to all the different activities. So the activity volunteers will get to meet everybody, and they'll get pretty good at the drills on their station. So we've got four. We expect to have 4 activities outside. So we expect to have football, cricket, running, and softball outside. We have got lots of gazebos. We're conscious of the need for shade, and the need to help keep people as cool as possible and out of the sun. So we've got lots of gazebos. We've got some golf umbrellas, and we've also got little water sprays, a little bit like the sprays you might spray on a house plant, which I understand from our friends at day services, if it's sprayed on the lower arm, the participant's lower arm, that can have a short-term cooling effect as well. So we know that people with learning disabilities are particularly vulnerable to extreme temperatures, so we really don't want anyone to push themselves in the sun. So that's something that we just need to be conscious of. The other type of volunteer role that we have is the country volunteers. So these volunteers will be spending the day with a team, so they will get to experience every different activity, but they won't get to meet all the participants of the event. You'll just be spending time with your country team, so you'll get to know that group of 15 to 20 individuals pretty well. And again, the priority there is to make people feel welcome, to signpost and help flow around the events, and to have a really fun, sociable and friendly day with the participants, but also with their support and with their carers as well. So the other roles which are going up for grabs, if anyone wants them, mascots. No one ever jumps for this role, especially on a hot day, because it would be pretty awful being stuck in a mascot costume for any length of time. But I think a couple of our coaches have volunteered to help out in the warm-up with the mascots. We have 2 mascots coming along, Sid and Sandy, who happen to be the Sussex Cricket Foundation Sharks. We will put them in volunteer t-shirts, much like Sonic and Tails are in the picture there. But yes, don't worry, you won't necessarily get put in the mascot unless you do something really awful. The next thing to mention, and this is for everybody who comes on site, the parking wardens and the parking system at Chichester is pretty efficient, and they don't make any exceptions. They don't make blue badge exceptions. They don't make minibus exceptions. So we need to have your number plate to get your free parking, and we definitely don't want anybody on site to get a fine. So when you come into the sports centre, you don't. So when you come in and arrive at the Personal Bests, do give us your registration number, and we'll make sure that you're logged in on the system. Okay, if you can spread that word through everyone you see on the day, and make sure we've tried to communicate it as much as we can, and we will have signs up, but as I say, I don't want anyone to get stung with a fine unnecessarily. In terms of where to park, there is lots of parking at the university. They have we recommend parking in their main car park. There is a tiny bit of parking next to the dome, but we're trying to reserve that for our minibuses, and we can pop a couple of disabled spaces there too. So and that's much closer to the sports centre. So if that's something you need, just pop me a note and an email, and I'll make sure that gets allocated to you. So next thing to mention for our volunteers, we ask our volunteers to all wear a red t-shirt. That's so that it's easy to identify who's a volunteer and who's a helper for the event. You're welcome to wear your own red t-shirt, or if you'd like to buy or take a red t-shirt from us, we are offering the red t-shirts at £10, and we can take either cash or card, and I'll have a whole range of them in different sizes with me on the day. In terms of timing, so we ask our volunteers to try and get to the Chichester Uni for 9 o'clock. Our participants will start arriving officially from 9:30, but in reality it could be any time from about 9 till 10:30 or 11 that they come in there. It can be quite difficult for them, particularly through day services, to coordinate arrival time. But we ask volunteers to arrive at 9, and we have your allocation to your role up on the wall, and we'll tell you where we'd like you to be for the day. We don't give that out, and we don't arrange that too early or too much in advance, because occasionally we have volunteers drop out and we need to start shuffling everything around. So that's why you don't find out until the day. It's not because we're trying to be tricky. It's more that we need to adapt to last minute changes. And then the end of the day. So yeah, you arrive. If you're a country volunteer, so if you're looking after a country team for the day, we ask you to go to the main hall to find your country station. I'll talk about that in just a moment. And if you're an activity volunteer, we'll ask you to go and meet your coach. And then the other thing to note is bring a packed lunch with you, bring a water bottle, sun cream, sun hat. And the end of the day, we expect to be wrapped up about 3 o'clock. So back to talking about those country volunteers. So, and the reason we call it a country volunteer is that our team names are all different countries, stemming from the start of the Personal Bests, which was when the Paralympics came to London. And so as a nod to legacy from the Paralympics and the Paralympic Games, we've kept that theme of having different countries sort of playing along or competing with each other, although this is non-competitive. And what you will find when you arrive for the country volunteers is your table will be laid out with water bottles, a list of participants, the t-shirts, a wristband. So each country will have a different colour, and the participants will be given a wristband with that colour. That's really helpful if a participant gets separated from their country. We can tell quite quickly where to help redirect them and get them back to their group. It's worth knowing that some participants won't want to wear a wristband, and that's just fine. They don't have to. It's not compulsory. It's helpful if they do, but be aware that for some participants that the feel of having a wristband on their wrist would be something that's just unacceptable for them. So we ask that you get to know the people in your country, and you'll be escorting them around the different activities. You'll also be very welcome and encouraged to take part too. This is not about a them and us. This is about everyone all together, and being inclusive for volunteers as well as for participants. Our activity volunteers, as I mentioned before, you're taking part on a station, so with one sport discipline, and you'll be working with the coaches. The other thing that we find really helps us with our activity volunteers is if between you work out where your next group is coming from and where your current group goes to next. So for example, if you are on boccia, helping the boccia coaches, you want to know that the group that will be arriving at boccia are coming from tennis. So you might want to have one volunteer go towards the tennis group and to welcome them. Likewise, on the way out, when they're finishing their activity, you'll want your group to be part escorted to their next. That really helps the flow of traffic, or flow of human traffic for us. The other important part for our activity volunteers is in our last activity of the day. So that runs from about 2 o'clock till 2:25. We ask that you help us to hand out the medals and certificates. So we tend to do medals and certificates at the end of the final activity of the day, because within that team there are going to be 15 to 20 people, and that's a manageable number to be clapping and celebrating for. If we were handing out medals and certificates to everyone en masse individually, that's 100 people, and I think we'd lose everyone's attention. It would sort of lose its value a little bit. So something to note, and I also appreciate that I've got some quite experienced volunteers on the call, so I'm slightly preaching to the choir here in terms of what you're already likely to be prepared for. But for those who perhaps haven't volunteered with us before, the Personal Best is all about championing people with learning disabilities to take part in physical activity and in sport, with the view to connect them to ongoing sport. But we have to remember that people with a learning disability may well have additional needs or additional challenges, and not just, I mean, it's quite unfair and quite unrealistic to just pigeonhole people as just as sort of one category. The people within our participant group will be having, some have a learning disability with autism, some also have ADHD, so different neurodiversities. We'll see some physical disability, We have a number of wheelchair users with us. We also have a number of sight impaired and hearing impaired participants as well. So we will have a full range of disabilities where the common thread is a learning disability. Something we found has really helped us in the past, and something we've developed really over the last couple of years since we've become more autism aware and more neurodiverse aware, is the need for quiet space and the need for time out. And this is something that can be really helpful for some of the participants. So we will have at least one quiet space. We hope to have an inside one and an outside one, although if it is very warm, we might just use the inside one. And that will be an air-conned room in the uni. It's likely to be the rehab room. We'll have a box of fidget toys in there, and we have some bean bags as well. And participants they'll be with their carer, but they can spend as long as they need to in there. There's no need for them to feel under pressure in terms of time. You don't need to remember the plan for Wednesday. These will be printed out and will be put up around the building. And I don't think we'll need our wet weather plan. So we anticipate using our good weather plan, where will be a combination of inside and outside. Each country will be given a timetable for their day. We all have lunch at the same time, and we all do the awards at the same time. So I touched on using the wristbands sort of a little earlier. Photo consent and the sharing of photos is something that's really important for us to get right and to do our best to get right. So we ask all our participants, we also ask our volunteers and our coaches whether they're prepared to have video and a photo consent. For those who prefer not to have their photograph or video taken and shared, we ask that they wear a red name badge and or white wristbands. That goes for participants, but also for volunteers, coaches and support. That is across the board for everybody. So if anybody is wearing a red name badge or a white wristbands, that indicates to us that they're not comfortable with their photographs being taken. It may be that their photo is inadvertently taken, but no photograph that comes through Active LD of non-consented will be shared. And for that reason, we ask our volunteers also not to share photographs unless they're sharing it through our website or through our social media. We ask that you don't take photographs. We want to have photographs, and we want to have as much of the day captured and celebrated as possible, but we also need to respect the preferences of the people taking part. So I think that covers. Oh, the other thing to mention on the photographs, participants will have said on their registration sign up if they're keen for photos or not keen for photos. But their preference might have changed between signing up and on the day. So there are some spare red name badges and spare white wristbands to accommodate someone who might have changed their mind, and that's fine. So the last little bit about tells you a little bit of sort of the little bit more of the sort of nitty-gritty things. First aid, all the team at the university supporting us, so Simon and Kirsty and their team, they're our first aiders. Our more leisure team, so Ben and Anna, they're also first aiders. I'm a first aider. So anyone who's one of the organisers or part of the organising team, we're there to be first aiders. So any problems, do let us know. The university site is right next to the hospital, which is, I suppose, reassuring if there was a problem, but very much hope there won't be. So a note about toilets. We ask that our volunteers don't provide, and it's really quite important to us that volunteers don't provide any personal care to participants. So by personal care, we really mean things like not to go into the toilet with a participant. We recommend, of course, it's fine to show them where the toilets are and to signpost, but to wait outside. That would be our recommendation. Anybody who needs support or help with personal care will be bringing a support worker or carer with them. So that side of things will be covered. If you have any queries or questions about that, by all means, come find me and I'll help. I think there's a note in our welcome pack about food and hygiene. And when Kevin and I looked through these slides just before the call, I think we summed up that make sure you wash your hands before you eat. It sounds a little bit obvious. So the note really is that we have alcohol hand gel for each country team. There's lots of toilets and hand washing facilities on site, and we ask people to bring a packed lunch with them. The university's not far from town, so if you need to nip out and grab a sandwich, then by all means do that at lunchtime. There are a few vending machines at the sports hall, but they tend to have snacks and drinks rather than lunch things, and they're cashless or card only. We mentioned about a lost participant, so that's the wristbands help us identify which group that they came that they've sort of separated from. The other thing to note is that at the bottom of the sports field, sort of towards town, there's a walkway that's very close to the road, and that's something I think we just need to be mindful of and keep an eye out for the activities that are close to that gate and close to that corner. We'll try and keep them away as much as possible, but just to be aware of participants not wandering off to the road and perhaps highlighting that to their support as well. People with learning disabilities are by definition vulnerable adults. They may not be the only vulnerable adults that we're spending the day with on Wednesday. There may be some vulnerable people within our coaching workforce, within our volunteer workforce as well. Any concerns that you have, or anything that you feel that somebody might be at risk, or there may be a safeguarding problem, by all means do come and I'm our safeguarding lead, so by all means do come and have a chat with me about it, and we'll see what our next steps are going to be and what the most appropriate next step is going to be. I think that pretty much wraps us up. So our telephone numbers are on the welcome pack, but if there are any problems on the day, either a phone call with leaving a voicemail, or better still, a text message or a WhatsApp, as I'm much more likely to pick that up quickly. I will try and check my emails on the day, but as you can imagine, there's quite a lot going on, and it's less likely that emails will be picked up. So any urgent information or any urgent message, a WhatsApp would be ideal. I think that probably goes the same for you, Kevin.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would be beneficial.
And then the last little bit was whether any of you guys have any questions.
That's good.
Always feels like an awful lot of information to share, and I think when we've been doing the event for some years, for us it seems quite, it's almost quite natural, and we kind of know what to expect. But there is the other thing to mention, and I think this might be helpful for volunteers, particularly volunteers for their first time. It takes about an hour or so for everything and everyone to settle in. So come prepared for mild chaos for the first hour, and then you may not be disappointed. there are a lot of moving parts at the beginning of the day, and there's no amount of preparing that we've found that can avoid those moving parts. There may be some groups that arrive quite late. That's okay. We just work round with that. There may be some volunteers, some coaches, some participants that aren't able to make it on the day. Again, we will adapt and we work around that. But yeah, just expect it to be quite a busy first little bit of the day, and then it sort of calms down and everyone just gets into the flow of things.
I think sometimes, Betty, as well, the implications of that are that if you're a country volunteer and a number of your participants in your country aren't there at the beginning, the event starts and you're still stood by their table with all their T-shirts and water bottles and everything, waiting to do the registration. That's fine. We'll let you know whether there's people who are going to be late, and don't worry too much about it. We'll help you get to the event, the sporting station that you need to be at once you've got everybody sorted and so forth. So there is going to be lots of help around. And the one thing I would just say is that this is always very difficult in a session like this, which is obviously, for all the right reasons, pretty dry. And it's very difficult to give you some sense of what the occasion's like. I think the fact that in virtually all of our personal best events, we have a return of the majority of the volunteers the next year speaks volumes, in the sense that they come along for the first time and they want to be part of it again next time it actually takes place. So I can't thank you enough for wanting to be part of this event. As I say, we're only in our second year now, but we've doubled in size in terms of everything for this year, and we need the volunteers. They're the actual lifeblood of the event itself. So thank you very much for wanting to be part of this, and I look forward to seeing you on the day.